Hi, everybody. Oh boy, what a day. Holy smoke. Hey, Stefan and Williams Watches and Truth Fears and Geezer. Hi, Geezer. Let's see. What do we got? What's going on here? Boy, you guys have been busy. Um, hey, Val, how are you? Watch Habit. Okay. Gastronomy, anyway, similar to horology. Okay. All righty, everybody. Donald, how are you? Okay. Okie doke. Hey, Mark. Good. Thanks, Mark, on the sound and video. Hi, James. Yeah, I'm great. We have this beautiful day today. I had a bunch of stuff to do, um, because it's not raining, and now it looks like it's going to rain for the next couple of days. I was just looking out the window. So anyhow, um, hey, now Shed, how you doing? And good. Okay, well, listen. I was thinking of this morning. Some of you who are here this morning, we talked about having something that was. Let's see, what did I have? Ended up with a name for it. This is, yeah. Okay. I came up with something that's called phone. I don't know how you say foundation in French, but I know how to spell it. Fondation. So I'll say Fondation. How's that? And then I have the second part is collector's quality. So I figured if we're going to have our own high horology foundation, we could use French and English, and I'd only mispronounce half of it. So I thought that might be something we could look at. Hi, underachieving watch collector. How you doing, man? Um, Okie doke. So let's talk about some things that would be relevant. Say, look, you guys got your high horology foundation that's pretty much based on smoke and mirrors. I urge all of you, if you haven't read it already, go through and read their thing. There's so many loopholes to let in everybody they want to let in, and they could use that same loophole to not let in somebody in their foundation, high horology, or, or however you say it in French. And I apologize, it's because I can't hear it that well. I'll work on it though, and I'll try to say it with foundation collector's quality. Okay, so what I'm looking at is what we should do. Okay. Um, Drink coffee. This is coffee. Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark. Mark N. Did you hear from Shane? Okay. I should learn German since half of his audience is German speaking. I should. My great grandfather's German too, so there are a lot of reasons for me to mispronounce German as well as French. Okay, hi Ines something. Okay, hey Lee. Um, let's talk about this. I'm gonna refer to it as a Fondation collector's quality, the FCQ. All right, and that'll be like the FHH, the Foundation of High Horology. Now, one of the things I think we should have for collectors, hi Nick J. One of the things, and Crappy, one of the things we should do, I think, is that they have all of these rules. We should have rules too. And I think the first rule is to tell us the truth. All right. And by that, I mean all movements and movement bases should be revealed in all advertisement for a watch. Okay, so that would be my first one I would have. What do you think of that? Is that a good idea or a bad idea or what? Okay, I mean, this is we don't ask for much, okay, and it's very clear. Okay, all right. Anybody think that's a bad idea? If you do, let me know. Okay, so that was one thing I think that for the a collector's quality, we'll call it, instead of having a high horology, we'll say it has collector's quality. And so when we say high horology, what we really mean is our collector's quality. Okay, if only if revealing means actual reveals including the base. Yeah, that's what I meant, NS something. I thought I said that, but maybe not. And sometimes doing so, I think it's a good thing. Um, when Roger Dubuis first started making watches under his name, he used Lamania movements. He called them let me see what if I can remember it. It was the RD-57 was the name of the caliber of the movement, but it was a pretty good movement. It was just the Lomania that he used for its chronograph. So it's like what I think none of us want to do is pay a lot of money for a cheap movement. Okay. And by a cheap movement, I mean an inexpensive one that they make by the Julians. All right. So, okay. Um, Hi, Bruce. How you doing? I got in trade helping a friend out when he opened a restaurant here. Okay, there's something going on. Uh, oh, I can't. All right. So that's one idea. Now, there's lots of you I can see right here. Okay. Oh, good. Thanks, Mark. Um, the what would be another thing that would say, okay, this has got a collector's quality to it? I mean, that's important for us. Now, by the way, too, the Foundation of High Horology has this great big thing about counterfeits, okay? But not one iota about revealing what's in their own watches. Not a good thing. That'll tell you where their heart lies. It's not in high quality. It's in I don't know what it is. Some companies also share the same watch case. Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with watch cases. That's a good point, though, Val. Um, no chemically blued screws. Good one. Good one in as something. Okay, so that's two things. They have to be heat blued and they have to tell us the truth about the movement. So we got two. Okay. I found Shane's. Ah, hey, Mark. Yeah, the spam filter. It's really funny the ones I get in my spam filter. Okay, thanks. What if you found out your Porsche had a Chevy small block in it? Yeah, that's exactly right, Lee. I don't know why do they think they can get away with that? I don't know. Hey, GMT master. Okay, so all right, so we have two. Uh, the quality would be heat blued screws and full disclosure. I'll call it full disclosure on movements. Okay. Um, yeah, yeah, they're no better. The counterfeiters have one up on them because they tell you the movement they're using. This is my Seagull. Love that watch. Okay. All right. Geneva Seal standards and finishing. Okay, Joseph. Oh boy, oh boy. Why not the Fourier standards? I'm not disagreeing. I'm just sort of like one or the other. One of the things that is included in the Fourier standard is COSC. I don't know if that's in the Geneva Seal or not, but we can borrow some things. In fact, we can borrow some things from the high horology. Okay, it's an Italian called Napoli and a place called Burton Lamater here in the UK. Don't know what you guys are talking about, but it looks interesting. All right, sapphire glass case back. Good one. That's a good one, Val. Yeah, I agree with that. There's some other stuff that they make it out of, um, like melted sugar or something. But yeah, sapphire, and the sapphire is um the sapphire cases for the glass and for the back are both man-made sapphire. I mean, that's understood. I don't think someone's gonna dig up a sapphire that's got a this big and then slice it out. So yeah, man-made sapphire as opposed to some other cheaper stuff that they do have. Okay, diamond on the balance wheel. Yeah. Okay, Mark, that would be a diamond on the balance wheel would be very nice, but we're talking about we're sort of a little more basic than that. Okay, we could put that down as an added thing because that is apparently a German tradition, and the only German company I know that uses that is Lang and Heim. Maybe a minimum movement to case ratio. Ooh, I like that. NS something that I like a lot. Um, what that would do, the quality, the extent to which the movement fits the case, I think is a criteria. I think that's a very good one. The reason I think that is that you're maximizing the space in the case for the movement. And the more you maximize it, the more you can get into the movement. One thing I think would be really helpful along those lines is a larger balance because there you get more stability in your larger balances. Look at Boot and Lannon's his giant balances. What about anti-magnetic? Market's good. I think it's really not anti-magnetic, but I know what you mean. They call it anti-magnetic, and it's sort of non-magnetic, but not plastic and not silicon. That would be a tough one because I know a lot of people say, "Well, we can have," they're starting to use a lot more silicon springs now. Um, but I prefer, something like the Straussmann spring that Moser has, and that's out of titanium and niobium. So there might be a point of contention whether that is used or not. Sort of, niobium is non-magnetic, and so I think that would be something you can mix that in with other things and have a non-magnetic. But I do think it's important. And Mark's point about anti-magnetic, that's what he meant by it. It's non-magnetic. Anti-magnetic sounds like against it. Um, what about what about uh, what about um, the frequency? Okay. Now I know there's yeah, Mark. There you go. 2.5 hertz. I was thinking under three, under four. Um, but boy, I tell you, that would raise a lot of hackles and possibly with good reason. Um, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Hi, howdy. Howdy from Texas. What is a punter? I never heard that term used when I was in Texas. I heard a lot of other terms, but not a punter. Um, I don't think frequency. Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. You're right. If I don't know how much you call it innovation by trying to speed up the frequency because you get all the frequency you could want from a quartz, but they have that fantastic brigade that is suspended on magnets, and it's what I don't know, 10 hertz or something like that. And the reason they can do it is because of that suspended on magnets. And I agree with you about innovation. Let's see. It's not the frequency alone. No, you're right, Stefan. That is true. Punters are audience members. Oh, okay. It's a British term. Well, howdy. Why don't you say howdy from what was the name of that place? There's a place in Brixton. Howdy from Brixton. Okay, believe it or not, originally the finishing movements, Geneva stripes, actually served a practical purpose. Yes, it did. It caught dust. They had all of those things. So did the perlas. All of those little things caught dust, and that was before they had the waterproofing. A lot of them, mostly waterproofing, did a pretty good job of keeping the dust out. All of these things that were in there have that. Some luxury watches, Cartier used plastic spacer in their movements. What about that? Should we say no plastic spacers allowed? Hey, Tim, Manchester by the Sea. Hmm. The other night, I heard a wonderful term. This woman described herself as pure as a driven slush. I thought it was funny. Okay. Oh yeah, you're among pretentious watch collectors, geezer. We're not the usual rabble. Definitely no plastic holders. Okay, geezer. Actually, plastic spacers have in the past been used for shock protection as well. Yeah. Well, I don't know. That might is it's like instead of plastic, how about mica? Something like that. Or would even that work? Or is that too brittle? Joseph Kent's in-house movement. Let's talk about that one, Joseph. That's generally a good idea. And in fact, I think that's one of the ones that they have for the high horology. But let's say that you get a watchmaker and they have an arrangement with like a really top watchmaker themselves, or a watchmaker, or I should say, sort of a watch designer, and they use something like the UWD 33.1 or 33.2. Now there you've got a super high quality one that I'd put up against a lot of the in-house ones that are cobbled together somehow. I don't know. It's just something that maybe if we concentrated on the quality of it. See, the thing of it is that the non-in-house movements, um, some are some of the best. You look at Van Cleef and Arpels. What do they got? Agenhor movements. Or if you look at, I mean, they have some of the best movements. In fact, again, Agenhor only makes movements and movement parts for other people. I don't. Well, he has the one movement that he made all of them all by himself. I think, but I think he may have made the one for the somebody had told me how to say it right, but it's the hour here and hour there. I think that was made by Agonar, and so was the Agongraph. And so here you got a watch by Singer and then one by Fabergé. Both of them have that movement in it. How do we deal with that? It's not so much a matter of in-house versus not in-house, but it's a matter of quality and transparency. What do you think of that? No glue except for indices. Okay. Um, I like that idea. No glue should be used. Hey, psycho or pseudoscientist, how you doing? Define in-house movement. To what extent architecture license modules? Yeah, I agree. Val, that's your job. I want you to define what an in-house movement is. To what extent architecture license modules and everything else. You got the job. I'm gonna. We need to do it. We're gonna have um, disbursement of responsibility. We have enough irresponsible people beside me to handle something like that. Well, rubbers are kind of plastic. Yeah. What, like rubbery holders and spacers for two things. One is keeping something still within the case, and the other, of course, is for shock absorbing. Duct tape, the handyman's secret weapon. That's no secret. Every handyman knows that, underachiever. we got, my life is held together with duct tape. Howdy. Okay, let's see. 99% of micro brands, I call them watches. So, yes, howdy. That's a good point. Um, this is essentially what we're talking about with some of them. They are assemblers, and there's a French term for it that I can mispronounce beautifully, and I forgot what it was. But yeah, there are assemblers. The One of my favorite former assemblers is Jacques SA, and from what are they from? Shoot of something or other. Anyway, in France and Switzerland. Okay, have you asked Agenor if he has a simple movement to sell? I'm afraid to. But maybe that is a good question to ask him. I don't think so. I think, he has such a reputation as, you know, probably, if not the one of the best movement makers in the world. And, would you do a simple one for a bunch of guys, who dreamed something up? I don't know. The one, like I said, is that the UWD 31.2 for center seconds. I think it'd be hard to beat. Because we're talking about something fairly simple. The I don't know. Maybe I ought to ask him. Maybe I should. Oh boy, Howdy from Texas. You are right. Howdy's point was that a true watchmaker should be able to fabricate as well as do other things with them. The guys who made the opium. There's a good example of what Howdy was referring to. He talked about a watch assembler, and that's what they are. And sort of design and that as well. Uh, I'm looking up something. Who are they? Okay, there's one that is called Manufacturer Horlogerie Valley de Jour, or more simply put, MH. Let me see. MHVJ. Okay, now what they do is that they're the ones that using the robots, really, and I think they probably employ the 3D printers as well, and making all of the parts that went into the teletech, I think it's tech, the movement that's used by Ophion, and they're able to do that. Now, this becomes something that becomes the interesting thing about that is that those smart little robots, you can program them to do anything. One of the ways that when I look at a Rolf Lang Dresden watch or look at a movement like the one we've been passing around, when you look at that, you can see human errors. I mean, it's not perfect. It's good and it's craftsmanship, but there are little human errors that you don't see in one that's done by a machine. Now, with the new robotics, they can put in that human error, and so you could have every single bridge with a little human difference to it, even though they're all beveled and everything else that you're going to have in on launch. I don't know. This is something that becomes sort of a more of a mystery, and also may answer some questions that what do we do collecting these things? Uh, La Chaux de Fonds. Thank you, Mark. That's exactly the place I was thinking of. That's where uh, La Jeux Pereira is also there now, which is the new name they gave to him. Okay, I've become a watch disassembler. Fahrenheit 451. Yeah, I've done the same thing. I've got a one-way pass on that on a couple ones. Okay. Okay, a true watchmaker can pull apart a number of movements and reassemble them and have the knowledge to create his own parts and movements too. Oh, Williams watches, yeah, that's man, I tell you, it's a lot of times they can have the skill but not the right tools because some of the tools they have, you need a whole machine shop for some of them, or like the MHVJ has, the manufacturer Horlogerie Vallée des Jours. What they do, they have their programmer and Gizmo types it in and writes the program for it, and it goes and does what they want. Or there are all kinds of funny things going on in programming that make doing that very easy. And now with the machinery and these smart machines, it's one of those things. Let's see. Hey, Donald, do you have an idea cost of a watch from Boot and Lannon and Caton of the watch case? I don't, Donald. They don't seem to give you one until I think after you have a contract, because the price would vary with the watch that you have. By the way, let me tell you something, and I was thinking about this in terms of a watch movement from them. They have the one that I liked with the teardrop lugs. I was looking at some watches by Kerry Voot and Lannon. They used exactly the same case. And I took a look at the at one of the dials on a Boot and Lannon watch. I think it was a black dial with silver indexes and numbers and hands and so forth. And the hands were Breguet, and the numbers and so forth were ones that I've actually, some of the ones that I've actually put together watches with myself. And one of the things I thought, well, the last thing I want to do is to have a watch that looks like Kerry Boot and Lannon's. Why? Well, it would look like a counterfeit or something like that. I don't want to do that. This is the more I thought about it, the more I thought, well, if we're going to put together a watch, we want it to look good, but unique and not look like we're trying to ape, like, well, let's make it look like FP Jones watches. Not impossible, but sort of like, no, I don't want to do a forgery. I want to do something that looks good you know, without bling and but quality parts. I don't know. In a future episode, I'd love to talk about case laser welding pros and cons. Howdy, I tell you, that is something I know nothing about, but it sounds like an interesting thing. What could you tell us about case laser welding? Because the ones that the for the teardrop lugs that at least as Opium was describing, they talked about soldering them on there. And soldering, I know about soldering, but this you know this um okay, some jewelers could finish a movement in a very high standard, but doesn't make them a watchmaker. They're still a jeweler. Yeah. Um, be an outlaw, not that kind of outlaw. All right. Did you like the case I sent this morning, Mark? Yeah, but you can't look at a. You were talking about fitting a 37 millimeter uh, movement into that. I tell you, you're sort of getting above your pay grade right now on that one. What, in fact, most of us, what what we're talking about, you can't simply go to Hermes and say, "Gee, we like your case, we'd like one." Uh, that's not the way it's done. I think that if we go to a place like Boot Lannon and Kalen, uh, they're going to consider a lot more than just, well, you got this dimension on it. You need a lot of dimensions and then style and so forth. Ah, okay. You're talking about 316 versus other alloys. What are you guys talking about here? Their lug ideas. Okay. Yeah, that's another thing too, Mark. The that's I don't know, man. I tell you, it's uh, the in the note that I got from Rolf Lang, he said when I asked him about, well, could we get the cases? He said he is charged 900 and something euro per case. Whoa, that's a lot for the cases. I thought so. That's something that you know probably back to Root and Lannon and Kalen and have them put something together. We need to think about what makes a good watchmaker. There are various, oh boy. Yeah, Geezer. There's, what do they have? There's like 32 things that George Daniels listed, and he was able to do all but two of them, I think. And Roger Smith is trying to get all 32 or 34, whatever they are. Yeah. You know about wearability, Mark, huh? I don't know. We'll have to figure all of that out. Um, okay. All right, some other ideas. So we've got uh full disclosure, blued screws. What do we have what about the movement? For a watch to be considered a collector's quality watch, does the movement have to be in-house, or can a like superior movement maker such as Agenor or Vaucher be used instead? You have a model name on the side of the case, and lugs are scalloped on Rolf's case. So, ooh, isn't that a beautiful one? Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's another point, Mark. That's really neat. I like that. But that would be, yeah. Um, Mark J. It's the kind of thing. I think this is why what I was thinking about more of leaving it to the someone like the case maker who could really give us some good information on that, uh, rather than seeing something. Now, if you're just talking about design, then that would be another thing. I've had watches that of all different kinds. These look like fairly standard plain vanilla lugs as far as I can see. Um, but then I look down and you can see how they're wrapped around my wrist, which is different than ones going straight out. Crappy was saying that that's why he didn't like the that Tissot with the Petite Seconde. He said the lugs just went straight out. Okay, think that someone that has mastered all components of watchmaking is what makes a true watchmaker. Williams watches. There are no. I don't agree with that. If you're you're like, who's done that though? You realize how many of those things there are to master? Good grief. You get like the only person, even George Daniels hadn't mastered them all. There are a lot that like are sort of highly specialized that most watches don't have anyway. But no, if a there are all kinds of. I'm going to have to get a list. I have been trying to find that 32 or 34 things. It's not in what's his name? It's not in George Daniels' watchmaking book. They're except by sort of like, in passing, by the way, or in footnotes. That thing is a nightmare in terms of book organization. Let me put it that way. But because somebody doesn't know every bit of it, doesn't mean they're not a good watchmaker. Because so many of the things you don't need to make a working watch. If you have all of them, you can do other kinds of things as well. When you look at the one person that I know for sure does, or almost does, is Roger. Roger Smith. Is it Roger Smith? Yeah. Um, okay, Mark, you've been begging for the corner. All right, off you go. All right, let's see. Actually practices laser welding in-house. Paddock Philippe, laser welding. Okay. I had no idea. I only stumbled across this a few months ago. All right. Hey, Joseph, unique and innovative movement architects with clever. Oh, I love the way you put that. I agree. Yeah. I think, this is really why I think so many watch collectors really like FP Journe, and why I like Marco Lang stuff. We look at his, and they're all over the place. You don't find as many as you used to in a longa. Some people blame it on the fact that they were bought by Richemont, and Richemont sort of put them more focus on making money than all of the innovations they want to have. Anyway, I like that. So who will be the first? Are you volunteering, Williams? Uh, okay, how are we doing on time? Wow, we've gone 40 minutes already. Oh, okay, guys. Well, listen. By the way, too, I I was thinking I've been getting more and more emails about um, countries and states and people coming out of quarantine, and I don't know when we're due. Supposedly, We're supposed to hit our peak in the end of May. That was one report. I don't know if that's still true or not, but I don't want to be the first guy out of quarantine. I don't want to be the canary in the mine. Um, so I was thinking we could do this until I'll go till June 1st, okay? And then after June 1st, I'm going to have to sort of go back to my regular life. Does that sound okay to everyone if we go to June 1st and sort of make that because doing this twice a day is I enjoy it, but on the other hand, I've got other things I'm trying to get done too. I'm not saying there's not good watchmakers out there, but it would be amazing if there was a watchmaker that could do everything at high quality himself. Yeah, that's what Smith was trying to do, Williams watches. We should ask Rolf to build us a watch kit. We just Sue. Regular life is boring. Yeah, Val. I don't know. Jeez. I think we're trying to figure out stay home after they lift it. Yeah. I'll be back to work by then. Yeah, Bruce, this is what I was thinking. Because since I'm retired, I don't have the same kind of constraints. My son, who's a professor in California, and another son who's a chef, both of them are at stay at home. Now, it's not so bad for the professor because they already had a lot of distance learning already set up. But for a chef, you can't be a chef if you don't have a kitchen or you're staying at home. I don't know. Let's do it twice a day till June, and then follow once a day. Oh, once a day is a lot of work too, Mark. Well, see, the thing is that the reason I have it twice a day is the morning one is for Asia, and the afternoon one is for pretty the U.S. and most of Europe. We'll see. Oh, I'll still be around you. I'm just not at the same pace, Symbol the watch. Yeah. Okay. Well, Bill, assemble the watch. Yeah, my God. He's got right now, James. Donald. The Rolf Lang has he's got all of these other things he's doing, which I cannot tell you about because they said don't tell anybody about this because until we get it rolling along, we don't want anybody to know. But he's really busy with this, and so it would be like, okay, I'll stop everything, but I'd have to have at least 5 do it, and he wants to do it with the gold frost on it, which would be pretty cool. But if we could do that for that same price, I don't know. That might be something we could do. You got if you want to deal with a 37 millimeter, and I think it would be having the small seconds. Now, usually what you can have when you have small seconds instead of center seconds is you can have a little thinner watch because you don't have that extra hand to pile on the other two. Even though I got to say the one from Vaucher does a pretty good job of it. Yeah. Okay. If that's all right. Well, when we get to June, we'll see how he's doing it. Then we can maybe go back to once a week, and then once a week have a morning and an afternoon, if that would be okay. Let's see how we're doing, and by then maybe we'll have more along on this on the watch project. Okay. All right. Well, everyone in the meantime, until tomorrow. Hi, Dog Pod. Stay safe and hasta mañana.